There are neighborhoods that sparkle, and then there are neighborhoods that endure. Places that don't chase luxury trends or scream wealth through glass penthouses and neon parties. Instead, they whisper history. They hold a quiet kind of power, the kind you can't buy overnight, because it's been cultivated for generations. When we talk about old money, we're not just talking about fortunes. We're talking about heritage. We're talking about the geography of legacy, the streets and avenues where America's elite families have lived, loved, and quietly ruled for over a century. Stay with us, because today we're stepping into the world of marble staircases, manicured hedges, and discreet doormen who've served the same families for 3 generations. We're taking you inside the 5 most exclusive neighborhoods where old money still lives. Neighborhoods that are more than addresses. They're symbols of refinement, continuity, and quiet control. And before we open those gates, make sure to subscribe. Because here, we don't just talk about luxury, we decode it. We reveal the mindset, the codes, and the hidden geography of wealth that most people only ever dream about. Now, let's begin. 1. The Upper East Side, New York City, the capital of quiet power. If New York is the city that never sleeps, the Upper East Side is the part that never ages. For more than 100 years, this narrow strip between Central Park and the East River has represented the pinnacle of American refinement. Its brownstones and limestone mansions don't just line the streets. They form a wall between the noise of the modern world and the serenity of old wealth. Walk down Fifth Avenue on a calm afternoon, and you'll feel it. The rhythm is slower, the architecture heavier, the sound of engines muted by distance. You are in the epicenter of generational influence, where names like Carnegie, Frick, Rockefeller, and Vanderbilt once entertained royalty in private salons overlooking Central Park. Here, wealth has never been about novelty. It's about endurance. These homes aren't for sale in any traditional sense. They're transferred through trusts, family offices, or private negotiations among those already inside the circle. The buildings themselves have their own reputations. On Park Avenue, co-ops like 740 Park and 834 Fifth Avenue are so selective that even billionaires are routinely rejected. Applicants don't just submit financials, they undergo a social evaluation. Their philanthropy, family background, and reputation are weighed carefully. Because for the Upper East Side, the wrong kind of wealth is worse than no wealth at all. Inside, the design language is timeless. Crystal chandeliers, parquet floors, portrait galleries, and libraries lined with first editions. But the real hallmark of the Upper East Side is discretion. Residents don't flaunt, they edit. They don't post on social media, they fund museums and foundations. They dine at the Colony Club or 21 Club, not for publicity, but for ritual. While the rest of New York reinvents itself every decade, the Upper East Side stands still, deliberately. Its rhythm hasn't changed since the Gilded Age. And for those born into it, that stillness is a comfort. It's a reminder that true wealth doesn't chase attention. It commands it by doing nothing at all. 2. Palm Beach, Florida, the sun-drenched refuge of the old guard. If the Upper East Side is where old money works in winters, Palm Beach is where it escapes, without ever leaving its standards behind. On this narrow island off Florida's east coast, the air smells faintly of salt, citrus, and freshly cut bougainvillea. Yet behind its tropical beauty lies one of America's most powerful social hierarchies. It all began with Henry Flagler, the oil and railroad magnate who transformed the area in the early 1900s. His vision wasn't just to build hotels, it was to create a winter haven for America's most powerful families, an exclusive colony of privilege shielded from the rest of the world. Soon, the Astors, Kennedys, DuPonts, and Pulitzers followed. They built Mediterranean-style villas with terracotta roofs and ocean views, surrounded by towering ficus hedges that serve as both decoration and defense. Privacy here is sacred. Every winter, the same families return to the same estates, the same country clubs, the same understated routines. Mornings begin with bike rides down Ocean Boulevard. Afternoons are spent at the Everglades Club or the Bath and Tennis Club, where phones are still forbidden and membership lists remain confidential. Evenings bring elegant dinners under the stars, where linen dresses replace designer logos and conversation matters more than champagne labels. Palm Beach has its own code of silence, a social operating system that runs on reputation rather than display. Outsiders often mistake its simplicity for accessibility, but beneath the pastel calm lies a network of unspoken rules. Newcomers can buy the homes, but not always the history that comes with them. As one longtime resident once said, "You can live in Palm Beach, but that doesn't mean you belong to it." Unlike the showy excess of Miami just a few hours south, Palm Beach never feels performative. Even its wealthiest residents, from dynastic heirs to European nobility, dress as if they're avoiding recognition. The luxury here is not in the diamonds or the cars. It's in the silence, the space, and the unbroken continuity of a tradition that has outlived every market cycle. Palm Beach isn't about escape. It's about preservation of image, lineage, and a way of life that refuses to bend to modern spectacle. 3. Newport, Rhode Island, the gilded cradle of American aristocracy. Long before Palm Beach became fashionable or the Hamptons became crowded, America's wealthiest families spent their summers in Newport, Rhode Island. It was here in the late 1800s that the Gilded Age elite, the Vanderbilts, Astors, Morgans, and Belmonts, came to showcase the spoils of their empires and to build what they modestly called cottages. Of course, these weren't cottages at all. They were palaces. Take the Breakers, built by Cornelius Vanderbilt II, a 70-room Italian Renaissance mansion designed to impress European nobility, or Marble House, where Alva Vanderbilt once hosted elaborate costume balls inspired by Versailles. These homes weren't just places to live. They were declarations, physical testaments that America, once a colony, now had its own aristocracy. But beneath the marble columns and gold leaf ceilings, Newport's allure was about something deeper: social order. Every summer, the same families gathered here. Their days followed a predictable rhythm: morning horseback rides along Ocean Drive, yacht races hosted by the New York Yacht Club, and lavish dinners that doubled as tests of etiquette and refinement. A misstep, the wrong guest list, the wrong attire, even the wrong accent, could quietly end one's invitation to the inner circle. Because in Newport, money opened doors, but manners kept them open. Over time, the Gilded Age faded. The industrial tycoons died. The country modernized. But Newport's essence remained untouched. Some of the mansions became museums, but others, like Beechwood, once home to the Astors, were quietly passed down through generations, still maintained with the same dignity as a century ago. Modern Newport carries an almost cinematic contrast. Tourists stroll its beaches unaware that, just beyond the hedges, America's oldest families still gather for summer charity galas, private luncheons, and regattas, where last names carry more weight than bank balances. For these families, Newport isn't a summer destination. It's a tradition, a pilgrimage back to their origins, a reminder that true luxury isn't about the newest, it's about the oldest. 4. The Hamptons, New York, the summer code of discreet power. To the untrained eye, the Hamptons look like an endless parade of beach houses and celebrity parties. But those who know the deeper layers of wealth understand, not all Hamptons are equal. And not all of them are meant to be found. While East Hampton and Montauk have become playgrounds for new money, filled with influencers, modern glass mansions, and rented Bentleys, Southampton remains the true seat of old money's summer life. This is where generations of East Coast families quietly retreat from Manhattan each June, returning to homes that have been in their lineage since the early 1900s. The difference is subtle but unmistakable. Old money's Southampton is understated. You won't see neon-lit parties or designer logos. You'll see sprawling lawns framed by hydrangeas, cedar shingle estates, and porches that overlook the dunes rather than dominate them. Here, exclusivity isn't about fences. It's about familiarity. Everyone knows who belongs. The same surnames reappear in club registries, on charity board rosters, and in the society pages year after year. The daily rhythm feels like a dance choreographed decades ago. Breakfast on the veranda, tennis at the Meadow Club, then perhaps a visit to the Bathing Corporation of Southampton, where phones are discouraged and privacy is expected. In the evening, there's a charity dinner, often at a home that's been passed down through 4 generations, followed by quiet conversation over chilled rosé as the Atlantic wind moves through the curtains. And yet, even here, the influence of new money is creeping in. Venture capitalists and tech entrepreneurs have bought up beachfront lots, bringing their yachts and helicopters with them. But despite their fortunes, they often remain on the periphery, Because in Southampton, money doesn't make you old money. Time does. To the families who've summered here for over a century, the Hamptons aren't a luxury escape. They're a legacy ritual. The children attend the same riding camps their grandparents did. The houses are decorated with portraits, not branding. And while the newcomers chase exposure, the old guard practices invisibility. In the Hamptons, the highest form of status is anonymity. To blend in perfectly, wanting to appear effortless, unbothered, timeless, is the mark of someone who truly belongs. It's not about how much you spend, it's about how long your family's name has been spoken in the same breath as this place. 5. Pacific Heights, San Francisco, the fortress above the fog. While the East Coast built its empire on marble and manners, the West Coast quietly cultivated its own version of aristocracy. Perched high above the fog-draped streets of San Francisco, in a neighborhood called Pacific Heights. It's a place that seems frozen in time, where grand Beaux-Arts mansions sit proudly on hilltops, overlooking the shimmering bay and the Golden Gate Bridge. Unlike the glass and steel modernism of Silicon Valley, Pacific Heights breathes history. Its facades are elegant, its gardens manicured, and its air also almost unnervingly calm. This neighborhood was born from the ambition of California's first great fortunes. During the gold rush and railroad booms of the late 19th century, families like the Crockers, Floods, and Spreckles built sprawling mansions here. Statements of success that rivaled anything back east. Their wealth came not from tech, but from railroads, shipping, and sugar empires. While the rest of San Francisco reinvented itself after the 1906 earthquake, Pacific Heights rebuilt with a purpose: to preserve its grandeur, not replace it. The streets that climb its hills, Broadway, Vallejo, Jackson, became known as the Gold Coast. And for good reason. Each home was a private museum of power, art, and family history. But what truly sets Pacific Heights apart is not the architecture. It's the culture of continuity. Here, the names engraved on foundation walls, Getty, Haas, Fisher, have shaped San Francisco for generations. They sit on museum boards, finance symphonies, and quietly guide the city's philanthropy. To them, wealth isn't for display. It's for stewardship. And while Silicon Valley billionaires build glass fortresses in Palo Alto and Atherton, many still struggle to gain entry into this old-world enclave. Because Pacific Heights doesn't measure wealth by market cap, it measures it by legacy. Who your grandfather funded, which museum bears your family name, which causes your great-grandmother championed. That's the currency here. Walk these streets at dusk and you'll notice the difference. No loud engines, no flashing lights. Just the low hum of history behind ivy-covered walls and wrought iron gates. Pacific Heights remains what? It's always been a quiet fortress of the old guard, untouched by trend, immune to time. The unspoken code. What all these enclaves share? From the Upper East Side's limestone facades to Palm Beach's sunlit villas, from Newport's marble palaces to the shingled estates of Southampton, and the fog-kissed mansions of Pacific Heights, these neighborhoods share something deeper than wealth. They share a philosophy, a belief that true power comes from endurance, not exposure. That influence grows in silence. That class, in its purest form, is never self-proclaimed, and it's recognized. In a world obsessed with showing, sharing, and selling, old money remains defiantly private. Their neighborhoods function like sanctuaries, bubbles of tradition floating above the chaos of modern ambition. Inside, time slows down. The houses are old but meticulously maintained. The routines are predictable yet purposeful. And the people, often descendants of names found in history books, live by an unspoken rhythm passed down through generations. In these enclaves, homes aren't bought, they're inherited. Membership isn't earned through money, but through lineage and reputation. And respect is never loud, it's implied. While new money chases visibility, old money cultivates stability. They understand that true luxury is not the possession of more, but the permanence of what endures. They buy fewer things, but better ones. They value craftsmanship over trend, and legacy over fame. And perhaps that's what makes these places feel different. They aren't just wealthy, they're rooted. Every hedge, every doorman, every gala, every nameplate on a quiet avenue carries a century of context. To live there is not to show that you've made it, it's to prove that your family never left.